have Superman on our side. And I mean that in a lot of ways, because we're talking about sunflowers, and Superman gets his energy from the sun. And we have Mr. Alex Garfin, who I'm also grateful because is representing like one of the youngest Gen Z voices here. So honoring you for that. Thank you very much. Actor of Warner Brothers Entertainment. He is here to share his story about how hope is alive. Alex.
Thanks, everyone. First of all, I'd love to acknowledge just everyone's great speeches so far, and everyone that's to come very quickly. That is not on my paper, but after hearing them, I felt compelled to. All right, well, it's an honor to be standing at this podium today, May 1st, 2023, the first ever International Day of Hope. Hope is alive, and if we wish to keep it, we must earn our place in its life. Some of you may know me as Superboy on Superman and Lois on television. In much of Western culture for the past 85 years, Superman was meant to symbolize hope. Oftentimes, I wondered why a character that seemingly had no faults signaled hope to so many. It was deeper into thinking that I realized a lot of my presuppositions about hope were wrong. In fact, I realized that it was hope that renewed my love for acting. My whole life, I'd always despaired at the fact that we were born too late to explore the world, but born too early to explore the stars. This changed when I was 15 years old. At the time, I was just a high school student here in New York City studying drama. I've been acting since I was only 2 years old, and as I grew older, I began to go distant from what made me love it. I was going down the path so blindly that it just became something I did, and not something I loved. Then, only a couple kilometers from right here at the dairy in Central Park, that all changed. There's this organization called, you may know them from the torrent of children in green shirts that invaded the General Assembly Hall last year, called Sing for Hope. Their main purpose, however, is to build these beautiful pianos and scatter them like pixie dust all around New York City. One day, I was playing songs at their piano in the dairy at Central Park when a small crowd gathered to hear me play. As the afternoon turned into evening, one man stayed a lot longer than the rest. I asked him if he had any requests. He said he didn't speak English. I asked, "Nihongo o hanashimasu ka?" which means, "Do you speak Japanese?" And well, he guessed the Japanese. I didn't speak much at the time, but I did make out one thing. He needed me to meet his friend Fabio. Growing up in New York City, you're told to put your head down and not talk to strangers, let alone follow them to a second location. I didn't grow up religious, but if I ever did have a divine moment, it was this voice coming to me, telling me to fight my instincts and to go with him. So unbelievably, I undid years of good parenting and went. We walked across the park to Lincoln Center and came across another piano. This time it was locked. My new friend, who I came to know as Yoshihiro, told me, "Omachi kudasai, Fabio o kimasu." Wait, Fabio will come. In that moment, I only had the hope that I had nurtured on the walk from the park that made me stay and forever change my life. 2 hours later, the sky turned red, and this short Sardinian man with long flowing hair came running over the hill. You did not have to tell me that this man was Fabio. He seemed like he was born too late to be an emperor. He unlocked the piano and sat down and played music I couldn't describe. It wasn't classical or jazz or anything, it was just Fabio. He told me music is magic, and soon I realized just how true that was. For people started to drain out of the crowds in New York City streets, and all started taking turns playing the piano. One was a doctor by day, one was a teacher, one was an actor, one was a janitor, all of whom, at this very moment, were completely equal on the plane of the black and white keys of the piano. Here I realized hope's role in being an incredible equalizer. Every one of those people I shared that night with had their own hopes and dreams. Some benefited from our society and some less so. However, at that moment, a new hope was born that they could all be seen as fellow people. And miraculously, they all kept that hope alive. Up to this point, I had that belief that we were born too late to explore the world and born too early to explore the stars. I was a weird kid. And I realized at that moment that we were born just in time to explore one another. And in this quest, hope is our North Star. I realized that hope is not ignoring the bad in the world. Rather, it is the belief that what is wrong is not beyond repair. That we must have this mindset that we can fix our problems to keep hope alive. These people all came together through the beauty of music and left with the hope that they'd be part of a community again. From then on, I realized how I love people, and by extension, acting, for we were the only ones that can truly hope. Acting, after all, is inspiring hope in a character that would otherwise have no life. In my time making strides in the acting world, it became obvious that hope is not a shining city on the hill, but rather it is the scaffolding that we use to build our dreams. Hope allowed us to come together, but it was who we were that made that spontaneous community everything it could have. That is why I feel honored to be here at an event regarding the United Nations today. For the UN is hope at its very finest. Born from one of the darkest chapters of humankind, the towers built mere a few blocks from here were built upon just as much a foundation as hope as the actual bedrock beneath our feet. The UN arose from the belief that even in our darkest hour, we weren't beyond repair, leading to the unprecedented peace among major powers since World War II's end. However, there's still an incredible amount of global conflict and global challenges that face us every day, and I think we've all experienced that so often it is here or even there where hope can go to die. Oftentimes hope can be poisoned against us. We're so often given false hope that only serves the interests of the very few. We see across the world, with the rise of authoritarianism, the continuing disregard of human rights by major powers in both the public and private sectors, and our continuing neglect of the climate crisis. Like a scaffold with no building, we can be told to let our hope guide us when there's no reason to have it, and nothing truly gets built. So as we begin this annual tradition, I challenge us all to redefine what hope means to us. I challenge everyone to see hope as a tool to improve our current structures, not as a structure we do not have. Every time you feel hope, ask yourself what you can do with it to build the future that you desire. Only once we make hope the blueprint of change can we truly live it. And I know by the very fact that we're all standing here today within this place and regarding that place that symbolizes humanity's greatest achievement, that we all can be worthy of hope. Therefore, I have hope. Hope humanity's good outweighs our bad. Hope that our creativity can outweigh our laziness. Hope that the UN from the fires of World War II continues to fly like a phoenix and not harden into stone. Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld famously said that the United Nations was not created to take mankind to heaven, but to save humanity from hell. True as that may be, while those walls have been built to keep us from hell, it is our collective responsibility as citizens of the world to strive towards heaven. If we take care of hope and we keep it alive, we have the most powerful tool in our arsenal to turn words into action. So on this May 1st, and everyone to follow, I wish you join me in taking care of hope and feeding it and nurturing it and letting us fly upon its back. Thank you.